So we're going to go ahead and get started on time because we're not sure quite how long this presentation is going to take. This is Rachel Snyder. She's from Blanchard Valley Health System. You are the community outreach dietitian. She does a little bit of everything. So welcome, Rachel.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
So today we're talking about just basic nutrition 101. We'll look at the benefits of nutrition, a balanced diet, the obesity epidemic, prevalence in our own county. We will break it down into the macronutrients, so protein, carbohydrates, and fats, and then the different keys to weight management, and the positive thing about making a lifestyle change instead of following a fad diet. So to get started, the benefits of nutrition, we all know that eating well maintains good health. We feel better both physically and mentally when we eat things that are high in sugar and fats. Our brain can become kind of foggy. When we fuel our body with the appropriate things, we just feel better all together. When we eat a variety in our diet, it assists with the prevention of disease, mostly meeting our calorie needs, vitamins, minerals, but also when we eat well, usually that we maintain an appropriate weight. Appropriate weight usually decreases our risk of things like heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. And like I said, achieves and maintains a healthy weight. So again, the benefits of getting a variety in our diet is so important. Not focusing on just, say, one vegetable, one fruit, and thinking that's okay. A variety is important because of all the different vitamins and minerals and the different things that they do for our bodies. So we think vitamin C, I eat that to prevent getting sick. Or vitamin D, makes for strong bones. So you can see where getting variety in your diet helps all the different components in your body. So looking at obesity more closely, worldwide, it has doubled since the 1980s. Here in Ohio, in 2015, the percentage of obese adults with a BMI of greater than 30 was 29.8%. So we were the 26th highest percent of those adults out of the 50 states. So BMI is a measure of your body mass index, so it's taking your height and weight and it's making a measure of fat necessarily. So the only downside of BMI is it doesn't measure our muscles. So say if you are working out all the time and you're a big guy with lots of muscles, your BMI would typically be higher because you would weigh more. So in that sense, it's not necessarily a good indicator. But for the majority of people, it is a good indicator. So further right, and maybe BMI was one of those measurements you did at the beginning of your wellness challenge. Overweight is 25 to 29.99. Obesity is 30 or more. Here in Hancock County, from the 2015 Health Needs Assessment, 65% of adults were overweight and 27% were obese. So not necessarily just the impact on your health, but also your wallet and your insurance companies. When we're overweight or obese, you are at a greater risk of things like diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, and even cancer. So the treatments and medications that go along with that increase your cost of health care. So from $1,429 to $2,741 per year, higher cost compared to normal weight individual. So some different factors contributing. It's not always just food. There have been some changes. So we see more of our transportation. We aren't walking as much. We all own cars. So we are not walking or cycling as much to get to work or the store. So less exercise, you're not burning as many calories. Even at home, we have microwave, dishwashers, washing machines, vacuum cleaners. all things that make it easier to get the job done quicker. So we're spending less time manual labor on cleaning. There's been an increase in ready-made foods, so less time standing at the kitchen counter preparing our food. We're more likely to take that frozen meal, put it in the microwave, and have a meal quicker. And then maybe sitting down and you're done. There's also been that increase in fast food restaurants, eating out, and those typically are higher in calories, fat, sodium, kind of the things that can lead to overeating. And then the increase in social media, having these smartphones. We spend a lot of time on our phones or watching TV or playing video games where back in the day maybe we were outside playing more, doing things outside for entertainment instead of sitting to get our entertainment. Even in the workplace, if you don't do manual labor, a lot of us will sit behind a computer, and that's how things are now. You have to use the computer at work, so we're not spending as much time, say, going outside and working. We're sitting behind a computer and using our fingers, and that's about it when it comes to it. And nothing wrong with that, but then we take less steps in the day. We're not using our muscles as much, and that has, again, led to gaining weight, even in the public places. So I had to take the stairs up here. The elevator was out, and it was a good reminder to me that, yeah, it's time to take the stairs. So the increase in using elevators or escalators, or even at the airport, those walking strips that make walking that much easier. We tend to use those, no brainer, I'm going to take the elevator, and not really thinking about the stairs. And then in some areas, I don't feel like it's unsafe necessarily in Findlay, especially where I live, but in some places you think maybe bigger cities, there's crime. Women, children can't necessarily go outside as much to get that exercise that they do need. And then there's portion distortion. So looking at the serving size that come at the restaurants, fast food, they just keep getting bigger and bigger. So I think a really good example is a muffin. A muffin should be about this size, but say you go to Starbucks, they're about this size. So, and because we get one single serving, I think that is the appropriate serving. Well, about half of that is kind of what we should be aiming for. So it makes it even harder to know what a correct portion size is. So you'll see that in your muffins, cookies, and you can see the difference in calories. Even pasta, say you're going to Olive Garden, your plate is that much bigger that you want to get your bang for your buck, so they're putting even more food on the plate, but usually you tend to overeat because those portions are so big. So you can see versus 500 calories for a meal, it's almost over 1,000 calories, which can be about half the calories that some people need. Again, with our burgers, now they're coming with doubles and triples and triple burgers, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And the same with fries. Movie theater popcorn, that's a big one too. That can even be over 630 calories if you're adding extra butter, extra flavorings on that, or even going back for seconds. Same with pizza. Say the pieces come, they're already big, well, you're going to eat 2 slices like you would as the smaller slice. So again, just more calories because the portions are that much bigger now. So again, it's not just food, there's all these other components that cause us to not exercise as much, not burn as many calories, and also things that we can't control necessarily, the portions that are given to us, say, when we eat out. So with a world like this, how in the world are we supposed to manage our weight? So going back to basics, nutrition can be very complicated. There's all kinds of food diets out there, bad diets, misconceptions, myths. So what I as a registered dietitian, what I like to tell people is going back to the basics, looking at the core macronutrients. So that is carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. There's not necessarily a weight loss shake out there that's going to solve all your problems. It comes down to the basics. So understanding basic nutrition for the long run is important because as this challenge does come to an end, I hope that you have learned some things about diet and exercise and can take that beyond this challenge. So we're going to dive into carbohydrates. Can anybody name some carbohydrates for me? Bread. Yep. Pasta.
Sweet potato.
Sweet potatoes, some vegetables, some cereal. Yep. Fruit is a carbohydrate. Beans, those kind of things. And then even like our cookies and our donuts, ice cream, dairy products, those are all carbohydrates. So it is a huge category of food. And there are myths out there that carbohydrates are bad. Well, I don't want you to think like that because there are, say like sweet potatoes, there are great benefits to your carbohydrates in vegetables, fruits, your grain products. So they are a good thing and they are necessary. So carbohydrates are our form of energy for our bodies. So they break down into glucose or sugar. So that is broken down in our blood. And something called insulin, maybe we've heard about that before, is the carrier for the sugar or glucose into our cells. So we need carbohydrates or sugar to fuel our exercise, to fuel our brain, and then it's stored in our muscles and our liver for times when maybe we need a little bit of extra energy. When carbs become concerning is when those storage areas, so in our liver and our muscles, are full. So that excess then is stored as fat, and that's where it can come consuming. So the key is how much to eat. So you can see here your daily total calories. That would be about 45 to 60% of your daily total calories. Now, if you're using something like MyFitnessPal or Fitbit, that will calculate it for you. So that's a positive. But if you aren't and you have your total calories, you can calculate it yourself. So to figure out, say on your own, how many grams per day, you would take, say, 2,000 calories is your total calories for the day. You would take that and times it by the percentage, so 0.45 or 0.6, and that would give you how many calories. So for a 2,000 calorie diet, that would be 900 to 1,200 calories. To find out how many grams, say you are looking at your label and figuring out how many grams are in this certain food, you would take that, your total calories, so 900 to 1,200 calories coming from carbs, and divide it by 4. And that would give you your grams. So for a 2,000 calorie diet, that would be 900 to 1,200 calories for carbohydrates. You would divide that by 4, and it would be 225 to 300 grams of carbs per day that you need to fuel your body. So that was a lot of math right there. But again, if you're using, say, your Fitbit or MyFitnessPal or some kind of online engine that's calculating your needs, they should come out to about the same. Okay, so we talked a little bit about carbohydrates and being our source of energy, our biggest source of energy in our body. Another benefit of carbohydrates is fiber. Has anybody heard of fiber before or know some different products that it's in? Fruit. Yep. Beans. Your vegetables, so like your sweet potato or green beans, lettuce, that kind of thing, all have fiber in it. So the positive thing about that is it's kind of like a bulking agent, I tell people. So eating a salad, for example, I see in front of you, something that has a lot of fiber in it is going to fill you up. When you're full, you're less likely to overeat. So fiber is that bulking agent within your stomach that is making you full. Another positive thing, especially if maybe you're experiencing high cholesterol, is fiber can actually lower bad cholesterol. So another positive, fiber works to stabilize blood sugar. So carbohydrates alone, say it's a donut that doesn't have fiber in it. When you eat that and it converts it to sugar, what happens in your blood sugar, in your blood, is those levels of sugar go way up because everything has been converted really quickly. But say if you had an apple with that skin on it, that would be the fiber. Fiber doesn't cause such a spike in your blood sugar. So it's kind of more of a slow rise and slow fall. So the donut, for example, you convert that really quick, so you're going way up, but then you absorb it all and you go way down. And when your blood sugars are really low, that's when you get that hangry feeling. Maybe you've heard that word before. You're so hungry that you need something quick. And we're trying to avoid that because that can lead to, again, maybe poor choices because you're feeling so hungry you'll just shoot for that really easy thing, that thing that's going to be satisfying and give you that, again, quick rise in your sugar. So trying to incorporate fiber into whatever carbohydrate source you're having will help prevent that hangry moment. Again, fiber will promote regular bowel movements, so I don't think I need to go into more detail there, but you know what I mean. So say you're looking at a label, aim for about 3 or more grams per serving. So things like your pastas, look for some fiber in there. Your fruits and vegetables, if you're leaving, say, the skin on for an apple, you don't have to worry about trying to figure out the grams. You know that that has fiber in it. Your fruits and vegetables will all have that extra fiber in it. And again, these carbohydrates, so your grains, your fruits, your vegetables, even dairy products are a form of carbohydrate. Provide vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, so all great things. So when it comes to which type of carbohydrate, there is a difference between what we should choose. So there's complex or polysaccharides, and then there's simple monosaccharide. So the difference is, with the complex, there are multiple molecules strung together. So my analogy is looking at a rope. So say if I gave you guys a rope with 4 or 5 knots in it, and then I gave this side a rope with just 1 or 2 knots, who would get those knots undone quicker? This side.
Still this side. Yeah.
Yes. Still.
Thank you.
He could have been at a Boy Scout. I don't know. Maybe you never know. So the point is that you have more knots for more molecules that you have to undone before you can absorb that carbohydrate source. For this side, you only have 1 or 2, so you're quickly absorbing that, you're using it up, and you're back to square one. So your absorption rate is slower because of all those molecules, but also they can contain more starches, fiber, which we talked about, and sometimes there's protein in carbohydrates too. So that is another thing that slows down your absorption rate of carbohydrates. The simple, again, say I'm going to use a donut. You eat that, it's just 1 or 2 sugar molecules, you absorb it quickly, and then you're back to square one. So candies, desserts, some fruits, especially when they've been ripened a lot, can be simple. And then sugar sweetened beverages, so that could be sweet tea, that could be pop or soda, even juices can have that quick absorption. Complex, so the things you want to choose more often are whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and legumes, so beans. So the complex, I said whole grains. We're going to look at what that actually means. So say if you've ever seen a wheat grain out in the field, or you've seen a picture, that has the bran, which is the outside, that contains all the fiber, the endosperm, which is mostly carbohydrate, does have some protein and vitamins and mineral, and then the germ, where most of the protein is at. When we remove the bran and the germ, what we're left with is mostly the carbohydrate, the inside component. So by removing that, we're losing the fiber and the majority of the protein. So that's why we want to choose mostly whole grain products, because they, again, have that fiber and that protein. So I do have a few examples here on labels. There's two different crackers here. So Triscuit and a Townhouse. And under the ingredient list, that's where you want to look for whole grain. It should say right there, under ingredients, whole. If it says enriched or refined, then you know that they have removed that bran and the germ. So on here, you'll see under ingredients, whole grain wheat. Under here, you see enriched. So another way to tell that the whole grain is still there is it should have some protein under the nutrition facts label and also fiber.
Is there an alternative if you can't eat wheat? What's
Well,
the next best?
so you can't eat wheat. Well, there's like brown rice, quinoa. Those are all under whole forms.
Spelt?
Yep, spell.
Spelt.
So
Is it
there's-
cooking?
Never
Or
heard of
swallowed?
ELT.
Spell it.
That's the least.
You don't spell it, you eat it.
To get, say, your fiber.
ELT.
You could do
That's
your
what
fruits
Flutter's
and
put in the word.
vegetables as well.
Spelled as a whole
But
grain.
there are other options too. Yeah.
Why is it that wheat bread is getting so much bad press nowadays? I see a lot of, oh, you should eat wheat bread.
Yeah, so maybe the gluten-free. So more and more people, there's more tests now, people are more in tune with, do I have this? Am I celiac so they can't have any gluten? There's gluten intolerance, which is becoming more common.
I'm testing those today.
Oh, I need to get out of here.
We have to go?
No.
So, yeah, there's so much information out there now, and the problem with social media and news articles is not everybody has got the background in nutrition. So there's a lot of misconceptions and myths, so not everybody needs to follow that. Unless you have done a test or you know that when you say cut out gluten that you feel better. Otherwise, like, I have no problems with gluten. I'm not going to cut it out. There are so many benefits to it that I'm going to keep doing it. I think that some people say I'm going to cut out gluten because I tend to eat too many carbs. So gluten is wheat products, and wheat products are a form of carbohydrates. So cutting out gluten kind of eliminates maybe those breads, those pastas that maybe they were already overdoing. Does that make sense?
I got a question. Which one, you said this is better than this one, or they're both?
Yeah, so
Just
the
because of this
Triscuit.
one says enriched flour, that's why it's not as good, but
It's-
if you look
yeah,
at the
so-
nutrition label, this one looks like it's better than this one.
So if you look at the serving size, how many crackers?
9. 9 for this one, and wow, 18.
Let's go with that one.
No.
Servings per container, 3 crackers and 9, right? 6 crackers.
Yeah.
6.
So it comes down to looking at the serving size too.
Because
And
the nutrition facts look better but on this one, don't they?
yeah, so if you did the math,
There you go. Show us.
So you're gonna use
Yeah,
6 crackers,
120
you're gonna have
calories.
140 calories here versus 120 there.
yeah.
That's 3 to 6.
And-
Well, you just eat one. Candy sounds good.
No, because
Okay, just one.
here, this is
I
a
don't
whole
know.
grain. So under protein, what do you see there? 1 gram there and 3 grams there. So we want to make sure in our whole grain products, we're looking for protein source and also fiber. Where that has no fiber and no protein. So when we would eat, say, this, we would have more of a spike in our blood sugar and drop quicker. Where this has that protein and that fiber, so we wouldn't have such a rise and drop.
So you look at serving size, protein, and dietary fiber,
Yeah.
and this whole grain is
Mhm.
enriched.
Yep. So that was a good question.
They use the right word though, enrich.
They should just
It's a good
stack
way
them
to
in the
sell.
store best to work.
I
Right?
like
I mean,
it.
unbelievable.
I think they should put more dietitians in grocery stores too to help people, because you get to the store and there's so many options. Confusing.
No, that tastes good.
So to break it down, what should we choose more often?
Because that one tastes like straw.
Vegetables, fruits, whole grains.
I like
So
turkey.
so
do I.
that third whole, breads, pastas, oats, cereal, brown or wild rice, quinoa. Again, look for the word whole. What we should choose less often because they don't have that fiber, they don't have that protein. Things that are refined, another code word is enriched. So breads, pastas, white rice, even cereals, and then the sweets. You can have them, just don't overdo it. Too many, then we're seeing more rise and fall in our blood sugars, and also those kind of sweets or high sugar beverages are higher in calories and sometimes fats if your sweets or desserts. Talked a little bit before about variety on your plate. Say if you only ate apples, well, you would be missing out on some other vitamins and minerals, but also something called phytochemicals or antioxidants. So why these are so important is there's something called free radicals. So they are, what I like to say is bad guys that can cause damage to our cells, leading to all kinds of different health issues. So free radicals can come from pollution, too much sun exposure, diets high in fat, sodium, that kind of thing. So these antioxidants and phytochemicals actually help protect us from those things. So again, getting a variety, you will be getting all these different types of antioxidants in your diet. All right, so protein. This should be about 20% of your total daily calories. Just like carbohydrates, it provides 4 calories per grams. So if you break down protein, you would find amino acids. They are the building blocks for protein. We need protein because our cells every day are building, dividing, and then dying. These are the these are the building blocks for our cells. We also needed to just for our muscles to keep them. If we don't meet our protein needs or even our calorie needs, we can see muscle mass loss. So meeting the appropriate needs of protein will prevent any muscle loss. So it repairs muscle, also with our immune function, healthy skin, nails, and hair, keeps you full, and helps regulate blood sugar. So as we talked before, the fiber and protein in your whole grain carbohydrates, protein sources like meat, eggs, beans, those kind of things also help prevent such a spike in our blood sugars. So our protein needs, so our recommended daily allowance for adults is 0.8 grams per kilogram of weight, or 20% of your total daily calories. So recommended daily allowance is how much protein we need to ward off muscle mass. If we, for example, we were trying to gain more muscle mass, then we would need to up that a little bit. So how to figure that out? So say your weight is 130, you would divide that by 2.2 to get your weight in kilograms. And then you would take that and times it by 0.8 to find out how much muscle you need just to maintain the muscle that you already have. Now say you're exercising more, you're swimming, you're biking, you're running, you're becoming more fit and active, sticking to 1.2 to 1.4 to build that muscle as you're going through these activities. 1.2 to 1.4. If you're trying to do more weightlifting, build muscle, 1.4 to 2 grams per kilogram. So if you say you weren't very active, a woman who's 127 pounds, she doesn't do much, she maybe sits behind a computer, maybe walks occasionally, her protein needs would be 46 grams. So sometimes we tend to overdo it in the protein category. For her, she's not necessarily maybe getting as much exercise. So a 3-ounce serving of chicken, 1 large egg, stick of string cheese, and a handful of almonds will meet her protein needs throughout the day. So she wouldn't necessarily need, say, an extra protein shake, that kind of thing. Getting it from her food is all that she would need. So what are we looking for in protein sources? We're looking towards fish, poultry. Eggs are a good source of protein. Lean cuts of beef, pork, or lamb. Beans and peas, soy, nuts, peanut butter, almond butter, your seeds, quinoa, buckwheat, and your whole grains will have some more protein in it. And then your dairy products as well. Things that we want to consume less often are highly processed meats, so they tend to be higher in fat and also sodium. Bacon, sausage, cold cuts, things like hot dogs, fattier cuts, so when you see that fat on the outside of your steak, cut that off. And then even skin out poultry can rack in some extra fat. So fat. Sometimes fat has a bad reputation. It can add a lot of calories, but it is necessary just for satisfaction, even for our meal. Say you are having a salad, you don't have any kind of fat source on it, it's not going to sustain you as long if you don't have some kind of fat or protein. So adding a little bit of dressing or having some egg with it that has fat naturally in it will keep you satisfied longer, keep you full longer. It's also important for helping us absorb some vitamins as well. So it's not all bad. It's a good thing, and we do need to incorporate it into our diet. What it should look like, though, is 20 to 35% of our total daily calories. Fat does provide more calories per gram, so your carb and protein provide 4 calories. For fat, we don't need as much because it provides 9 calories per gram. So just like protein and fiber, fat also helps slow down that sugar absorption. So when we have protein, your fat, along with your carbohydrate, you're not going to see such a rise and fall in those sugars. So there is a difference in the type of fat we should have though. So the good unsaturated fats, those are mono or polyunsaturated fats. So if you ever look at a label, they will break it down between unsaturated, saturated fats, and also trans fat. So what we want more of in our diet is those unsaturated. Why do we want that? It actually decreases our bad cholesterol, so LDL. We can find this in liquid oils, so olive oil and canola oil are great sources. Things like avocados, nuts, nut butters, and seeds also have them. And then omega-3 fatty acids fall under this category. Maybe you've heard about these, protective for our heart, and also ties into your mood. So I'll be talking about that in a later talk as well. Fatty fish are a great source for this. So salmon, tuna, etc. Try to shoot for that 2 times per week. But it also comes in your plant sources, so like flaxseed, walnuts, soybeans, all have that as well. So the bad, something we can have, but we want to avoid overdoing it. When we overdo it, say on saturated fats, that can lead to things like heart disease. So what does it do? It increases our bad cholesterol when we overdo it in this category. So you find it in typically animal fats, meat fat, poultry skin, milk fat, butter, lard, cream, cream cheese, sour cream, even cheese. You also find it in your plant sources, so coconut and palm kernel oil. So we find those in chips, cookies, and cakes. So there's a lot of hype around coconut oil now too. It can improve our good cholesterol, HDL, but it actually will still raise your LDL, bad cholesterol. So again, it tastes wonderful, but just use it in moderation, just like any other saturated fat. So the ugly, the thing that we want to avoid altogether, really doesn't do anything good for us. It increases our bad cholesterol and decreases our good cholesterol. So if you're looking at a label under the ingredient list, it won't say trans fat oil. It'll say partially hydrogenated oil. So that's key for what you should look for on the label. You'll find this in fried food, stick margarine. Usually it's not in, say, the tub margarine, and some baked goods. So, all in all, what should we have less of? Fried foods, fatty meats, your butter, your shortening, soda, candy, baked goods, and desserts, high sodium, canned foods, convenience foods, salty snacks, and breads. More often, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, dairy, just getting a good variety within the diet. So some keys to weight management. It's all about calories in versus calories out. So we talked about the calories. We need a certain amount, but calories are a unit of energy. So I broke it down. We went through the protein, carb, and fat, but alcohol, it's kind of its own category. It actually provides 7 calories per gram. So it's another thing to think about when you're going out with your friends or at the end of the day. It's okay to have, just I guess don't overdo it for many reasons, right? This is one of them.
What's the best kind of alcohol?
You could go there. Answering your question, so like the appropriate size of a glass of wine is good. Like hard liquors, those are usually lower in calories, but you're also supposed to be consuming a smaller amount of those.
Supposed to be.
A light beer, yeah, you're supposed to be a light beer. Those are lower in calories versus, say, something dark, maybe a Guinness. So kind of just being aware of what you're doing. If you drink too much, then you can kind of know, we know what happens, and then at that point you're not really thinking straight, right? So just be mindful.
Let's go to Denny's.
What'd you say?
Let's go to Denny's.
Yeah, exactly.
For a burger and french fries.
Yeah, one thing leads to another. So weight management, to maintain your weight, calories in should match calories out. Calories in is your food and beverages. Calories out is metabolism, so what your body burns throughout the day just to live, to breathe, but then also our physical activity. So taking the stairs, or are you walking during lunch, are you going home and exercising, that is your calories out. So the healthy way to lose, 1 pound of fat equals 3,500 calories. So a safe weight loss should look like 1 or 2 pounds per week. So to accomplish that, your calorie deficit of your total calories before anything else has been factored in, like exercise, is 500 to 1,000 calories per day. Do not go below 1,200 calories per day. When we go below that, our body can actually go into starvation mode. It's not meaning, you're not giving it the calories that it needs. And when you go back to, say, regular eating, won't count calories forever, your body will actually hold on to everything because it's been through that period of called starvation mode, and will just hold on to everything. So fuel your body with the appropriate needs, and look at kind of the appropriate weight loss too. Evidence shows that people are more successful if they do a slow and more steady gradual weight loss instead of I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. That's not healthy. More likely to bounce back and gain even more weight because of that starvation mode. So again, it's not about the short-term diet, it's about lifestyle change. What I would say is start with small goals. So say you're looking at nutrition, maybe before you weren't doing whole grains, switching to whole grains, making that effort. Or I didn't exercise at all before, now I'm going to walk during my lunch break. So just choosing a few goals, and when you meet those, make some new goals. Instead of saying, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. Not making those goals towards that 50 pounds. Does that make sense? Yeah. So again, there's a lot of components besides just eating and exercise when it comes to losing weight. There's our age, our gender, height and weight to begin with, our lifestyle, our family plays into it as well, our friends, and then the emotions that tie around our lives as well. That we will talk about at another talk. Good nutrition is obtained through balanced meals, so looking at getting your carb, your protein, and your fat. Choosing just one thing, say I'm going to have a piece of toast. If you don't have, say, some kind of protein or fat source along with it, you're going to see, again, that high spike and then that drop, and you'll be hungry again. So say you wanted to add peanut butter on top of your toast. There you have a protein and fat source. So looking at a balance between all three. Don't try to skip meals. We do need to fuel our body. So every 4 or 5 hours, just to give your body the nutrition it needs throughout the day. Snacks if needed. I'm definitely a snacker. Try to have something in between meals. If I go too long, then I get to that angry moment, and we don't want that. So snacks definitely are okay. Those should also be balanced. So say you're having some nuts, maybe having some fruit with it, grapes and nuts, that kind of thing, or maybe an apple with some peanut butter, so you can see where it kind of falls across the meals, but also the snacks. A way to kind of look at it on your plate is a quarter of your plate should be protein, so whether that's a chicken breast or a fish. Then a quarter should be a starchy vegetable or a grain. A starchy vegetable is your potatoes, peas, and corn are starchy vegetables, so they have more of an effect on your blood sugar. Non-starchy is everything else besides corn, peas, and potatoes. So trying to make half your plate non-starchy, so greens, broccoli, carrots, those kind of things. And then incorporating fruit and dairy products, if you can, throughout the day as well. Physical activity, I'm sure you had somebody come talk to you about physical activity, trying to get it throughout the day. And everybody's kind of schedule around exercise is different. But 1 pound of fat burns 2 to 3 calories. 1 pound of muscle burns 7 to 10 calories per day. So you think about somebody who, like an Olympic runner, their calorie needs are going to be higher than, say, mine, who not going to have as much muscle as that athlete. So again, more muscle, trying to do some weightlifting or your own body weight exercises to build up some muscle. Just remember that all foods do fit. If you do want to go out with your friends and have a glass of wine, or maybe you want to have that fried appetizer, it does fit. Just be mindful of serving size and how often you're going to have it. Focus on adding things. So say if vegetables isn't your strong suit and kind of a new idea, maybe adding one serving, and over time adding another one. Just instead of taking away everything, kind of adding maybe a whole grain pie, instead of I'm going to have no refined, and maybe switching your bread to a whole grain. So you can see over time it becomes easier to handle when you change a few things at a time instead of everything all at once. No forbidden foods. When we think of things as forbidden, things that we should never do, or things we should never have, if we kind of do that, then when we do say have that donut or cookie or whatever it is, then that guilt can kind of come along, and we want to avoid that. We want to think that all things can fit. It just again comes down to appropriate servings and how often. So portion distortion. So we looked at the muffin and the pizza and the popcorn earlier. So I have some fake food models. Maybe you thought it was real food, I don't know. But actually costs a lot more than regular food. But just getting back to basics. So maybe some people, they have scales at home. They measure out exactly everything. But what I would hope is, as you go through this journey, is kind of learning what maybe a portion size is, so then down the road, you're more likely to kind of stick with that. So here's some examples. So say it's mayonnaise. About 2 dice would be about a serving of mayonnaise. Peanut butter is about the diameter of a golf ball. And I gave you those handouts too. It could be about your thumb. So there's some different ways to look at it. But this is about 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. So that's about a serving.
Looks like a cookie.
Yeah.
Like a peanut butter cookie.
Yeah. So they have the example of berries. So I think on your handout too, about cupping your hand like this is about a serving of berries. So you can see it fits about in my hand. You may be able to fit more in yours.
Means you get to eat more, Jack.
Darn right, baby.
Yeah. So your calorie needs may be higher than mine when we're kind of looking at the hand.
Yeah, considering that it's supposed to be 1 tablespoon is a thumb.
Yeah, so
Put
they're
your thumb next
visual.
to that. I did. Give it back.
That's different than a golf ball.
So diameter.
Thumb and a golf ball.
Wait a minute.
So you shouldn't eat more than that many beers, or?
That's just like
Here.
one serving.
Okay.
So that kind of gives you an idea of, that's one portion.
Right, but 1 tablespoon, but serving size
But you
is
could
1
definitely do
tablespoon.
more. So if you doubled that, that would be 2 servings of fruit.
So this is 2 servings. Is that 2 servings or 1?
That's 1. So these are just visuals to kind of give you an eyeball.
Well, we were just looking. It says a thumb is 1 tablespoon. This is
Oh
one-
yeah, sorry, that's 2 tablespoons. So if
So
you
this
look
is
on the
2
back of
servings.
these, yep, so that's 2. So these are to give you visual, not necessarily
Oh,
always that's all you should have. So say with the fruit, we were just talking about this. That's 1 serving of fruit right there. That would be 2 tablespoons. So you can think of your thumb as 1. If you wanted to put 2 together, that's more like a golf ball. That's 2 tablespoons. So with protein, about a deck of cards is a serving. So you can see the salmon fits about in the palm of my hand. That's another good way to look at it, or a deck of cards. A fish fillet is more about the size of your hand. So that fits about in my hand. And then nuts, you can see on your handout too. Or even like a golf ball kind of thing works too. That's some more examples written down. there's the actual serving size as well. Chicken, about kind of the palm of my hand. So that's a little less than 3 ounces. A banana, so bananas can be all kinds of sizes, right? Sometimes they're really long or they're shorter. A good indicator is kind of the length of your pen. That's about a serving of a banana.
So why do, like, if you go into the internet, so much bananas are getting such bad rap?
It's probably just another food fad thing. They're a great source of all kinds of things. Potassium, we've heard of that.
So do you only eat the pen's length and leave the rest?
No, each side is kind of just 1.25 servings.
You'll just have to suck it up and eat that last one.
Yeah, and it's trying to just teach you kind of what a portion is, instead of say, and here's a good example, is the popcorn. So a serving of popcorn is 3 cups. So this is a cup. So about 3 baseballs about is a serving. Just trying to teach you just basic portions, I guess.
Right, bananas on steroids.
So the banana, back to the banana.
Getting a bad rap, yeah.
Yeah, and it shouldn't. It's a great source for all kinds of things. Potassium,
I thought they were having
vitamin C.
problems with the plants actually dying and things aren't reproducing anymore as much as what I thought was the problem.
Yeah, nutritionally, they're still
Yeah, but every time you see those little ads that they want you to click on, it says these are bad for you with all of the pictures.
I thought that.
Right, but then when you read down, the bananas are good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I try.
Yeah.
I do, because I eat a lot of bananas.
Piece of bread is about the size of your hand.
But they don't. They just use the picture as a ploy to get you to think, oh, bananas are horrible. So when you click on it, you read all the way down the bottom, bananas are fine.
To get you to their site, yeah.
Right.
So apples, we see huge apples now in the store. They should be about the size of your fist, so that's a good indicator.
You have small hands.
But they're good for you, so what if you eat?
But they're also sweet.
So again, like you want to have some protein with it to manage that carbohydrate. Because when the portions are too big, then we can end up overdoing it again in the carbohydrates. So it kind of just helps us avoid overeating, I guess.
That's that's where you go.
It's too
Get
big.
them mixed up. So here's a good one.
1.25 servings.
So mashed potatoes. So this is a half cup. It's about the size of a mouse. So it kind of fits perfectly like that. At Thanksgiving time, we can definitely overdo it in the mashed potatoes. So that's about the size of potatoes that we should shoot for.
If I don't eat that much mashed potatoes, I wouldn't be allowed to go back next Thanksgiving.
So those are some examples. Have any questions about portions or visuals? I gave you that handout. I think it's a good way to just kind of teach yourself, keep it on the fridge, because like I said, tracking calories and all that thing, we can't do that over years and years and years of our lives. So kind of learning what it should look like.
How many calories should you?
So it's different for everybody.
Who tells you?
So do you have a Fitbit or MyFitnessPal?
I do.
You do? Have you put in your information? So that's a good one. MyFitnessPal.
But how many calories? I mean, how do I know how many calories I need to take? My fitness pal, that's gonna tell me that?
Yes, so they have validated equations that they use. So MyFitnessPal, for example, uses, this is not going to mean anything, but Mifflin St. Jeor. So that's the equation that has been validated, all kinds of research to use for weight loss. So when you go into MyFitnessPal, you do all these things. You do your height, your weight, what weight loss you're hoping for, so 1 to 2 pounds per week, and then your exercise as well. They take all of that and put it into this calculation and give you the appropriate calories you need specifically for you. So you and, say, her are going to be different depending on the different factors. So for me to tell you a number would not be a good thing, because we haven't gone through how much exercise, what is your weight loss goal, do you want to maintain, how old are you, there's all these different factors. So that is a good way, say
So
if you don't
1,800
want,
calories for me, I might feel hungry. 1,800 calories for you, you might feel full, way full.
yeah, so it's different for everybody. Does that make sense?
On the, if you go on the internet and put in how many calories was there, those things will come up though.
Just don't lie.
Yeah.
But then you have to track.
I work out 5 days a week, I just can't lose no weight.
No, how big is that apple that I ate? Because you could eat an apple that size or an
Right.
apple that Carolyn has. So this one's gonna be more calories than that apple.
Right, right.
Same with the bananas.
Yep,
Same with and that's, it's real easy to go on those sites and figure out, okay, I should eat this many calories. The tougher part about those sites are tracking everything that you consume.
Right.
Because it would be nice if, and I'm sure this will do, somewhere down the road, we'll be able just to eat stuff and we'll have a chip and everything will be able to just be recorded.
Did you say chip?
if it gets to that point, I might be a little scared.
Right.
But yeah, that's
The battle is the recording of everything that you
exactly.
consume.
So, like I had said, we don't want to be tracking calories forever. Like that is not a desire for anybody. So kind of learning, so looking at our plate, for example, if I went back, what our plate should look like. And then we know that if we kind of consume this plate, get these certain things in my diet, then hopefully I'm meeting those calorie needs. And it also gets to a point where it's hard to say, but listening to our hunger cues, am I hungry or am I bored? And learning to those different cues, because yes, tracking for the
Well, I could
long
think
run
it-
is going to be very hard.
But I can think if you were really being diligent about being close to your 2,000, rather you can't be, is that if you were still losing weight and you thought you were reaching 2,500 and you should be putting on weight compared to what you thought you were losing, that you could just add on to it.
Right.
To give you some, so.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
that.
And kind of seeing how you feel, and if you do have a weight loss goal, am I losing weight? Is this working? And if things aren't working, meeting with a dietitian is a great thing, because we do look at, is there stress going on, because that has a huge play into the things that we eat and just hormones as well. We're going to talk about that in a later talk. But there's so many different components that come to it, even beyond calories in and calories out.
Couldn't you just keep doing what you're doing and eat less?
Yeah. Yep, so portion
I
size.
mean, cut out your chips and your pretzels and
Your ice cream.
your ice
Or
your
cream
beer.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Because it comes down to portion size, right? Yep, so that's where kind of learning a glass of, how many beers should I have to get,
drunk.
yeah. But you know what I mean.
I know.
Yeah. So being kind of mindful
So
of what
yeah,
we're
just
putting
cut
in our
out
body.
that stuff.
Hmm?
Just cut that stuff out or cut your portions back.
Yeah,
Do what you-
because there's
Continue.
definitely, you're going to enjoy that cup of ice cream or that beer out with friends, but be mindful of how much we're doing of those things.
Do supplements count, what daily supplements, as a calorie anything?
Like, give me an example.
Protein.
Like a protein shake?
Or, I don't know,
Just like your omega-3
Yeah.
capsule.
So your omega-3, like fatty acid, is that what you're talking
just
about?
any kind of like a daily all-purpose.
So like a multivitamin kind of thing. So that's not going to add any calories necessarily, but What I would recommend is definitely try to get it from food first, but if you, for example, don't want to do any vegetables or fruits, that kind of thing, then definitely looking at a multivitamin would be a good thing, because it is important that we do get those things. They are necessary. But coming from our food first will be better absorbed by our body.
Would a protein shake instead of breakfast or lunch? And then
So the thing with protein shakes is, again, we need a certain amount of protein throughout the day. If we get too much, that can cause damage to, say, our kidneys. Our kidneys have to process all that protein. If we go way overboard, then that can cause damage in the long run to, say, our kidneys. But protein shakes also, some of them can provide a lot of extra calories that we don't necessarily need. So what I would say is just make sure there's a balance between your protein, carbohydrate, and fat as well. But again, trying to get from food first is what I would recommend.
Why does water help you lose weight?
Keeps you full and hydrated. So drinking water in place of, say, Pepsi or Mountain Dew, there's 0 calories in water versus pop that can go over 100. I'm making something for the cafeteria at work, and about 30 ounces of Mountain Dew is almost 400 calories, and that's just in your drink. There's no added benefit to it, like getting vitamins and minerals and protein from it. It's just sugar and calories. So that's one way, is when you cut out that pop or soda, you're cutting a lot of calories out.
What about diet pop?
Diet pop is 0 calories. So
What about the chemicals?
So when it comes to the artificial sweeteners, there's been a lot of research around those. Artificial sweeteners, you don't need as much because they are so much sweeter than regular sugar. So the amount that they're using compared to sugar is a lot less. And there's been a lot of research around these artificial sweeteners that the FDA, so who does the research, have found that it is safe. So just like anything, you want to make sure you're not overdoing it, just like, say, with protein. I would say protein is a good thing, but when we overdo it, right, then we can cause damage to our body. So say you're doing so much throughout the day of maybe these artificial sweeteners, then possibly it could cause damage in the long run. So it all comes down to moderation, just with everything. Any other questions?
You don't feel so bad? I didn't.
But my Diet Pepsi, I was all the time.